And if somebody else has already jumped off to a lifeboat of Stepford Wives, maybe Brad should jump off the film. And then my producers all disappeared. Everybody was like, okay, well, let's, because they're all going to focus on movies that are going to go. And I'm like, well, now I've spent, a year and a half of my life on this thing, and everybody's gone. I'm literally alone. I'll never forget that I was actually only a few blocks away from this exact location at a Chinese restaurant with my family, with my mom and my brother and sister-in-law, when I got the call that Brad had officially dropped out altogether. And that's like some people remember, where they were when Kennedy was shot. I remember, where I was when each one of my movies fell apart. And, it was, I didn't let up. I just said, all right, I'm going to, it was really sad. I was really depressed. I was like, I'm not going to let on. I'm going to act like the film's a winner. Even if everybody else has abandoned it, I'm going to be the edge, and I'm going to continue to believe in it. And, at that point, you don't know. Maybe you're throwing good time after bad time. Maybe you should just walk away and work on something new the way my producers had done that. But I didn't let up, and I kept on Brad and said, okay, what actress, if I got her, would you come back and do the movie? And, we presented him dozens and dozens of actresses, and ultimately we agreed on Angelina Jolie. And we sent Angelina the script, and she said yes. And then Brad came back, and then, the rest is history. Seriously, history. But, for each and every one of my movies, there's a moment where the whole thing has totally fallen apart, and you could just see that I like Mr. and Mrs. Smith was one step away from just not existing, which is for me to just start working on something else. Everybody else had already abandoned it. And every single one of my movies has always come down to that moment where it's just people have walked away from it, and I just stayed with it. After Swingers didn't get into the Sundance Film Festival, everybody walked away from it, and I was like, I still believe in this movie, and I'm going to find a way to sell this movie even if we can't get it to a festival. And I did ultimately sell it, and I sold it to the best studio you could sell an independent film to, and it's, I turned a total failure into a total success, and it's just perseverance. But I'm a very insecure person, so I can put on this sort of very sort of tough exterior, or this buoyant and confident exterior, but it's really masking somebody who's terrified and scared and scared of failure. And in the film business, you try to not necessarily let people see that. And I've had to sort of do that for each and every one of my films, and it's I think it's, in general, sort of a good lesson for life, that perseverance really, really does pay off. And I've seen it, in other professions. I've just seen it everywhere I look. Film is one very specific thing, and here I was, all these years later, being wheeled into an OR room by a woman who's like, I can't believe that little kid who was talking about making movies actually did it. Just really blew her mind that somebody, who had a dream when they were, 10, stuck to it. But it's, in hindsight, it seems a lot easier than it was going through it. Because going through it, it was, and still is, as, the disappointment this week about the Golden Globes, and I get disappointment every week. And, my girlfriend teaches in the inner city, and, she deals with, children who face disappointments that are very extreme, parents that are suddenly incarcerated, or, really upsetting events, relatives that are shot, and, but, each of us sort of lives within our own, it doesn't matter what is disappointing to somebody else, it matters what's disappointing to you. Everybody here, makes your own rules for yourself, and the only thing that really matters is kind of what makes you happy and what disappoints you or what makes you sad, and figuring out how you can sort of face the things that make you sad or disappoint you and get past them. So for me, I like my films and I are sort of very much the same. Like I don't have children. I put everything into my movies. I'm thinking now of having children and maybe that trying to not put everything into the movies because maybe just to sort of, it's like financially diversifying your portfolio and not have everything riding on a movie. But up until this point in my life, my movies have been my children, and if somebody says something bad about a film, it's like somebody criticizing your child, and it is, and I bring the same level of emotion and passion to my films that parents bring to their raising of their children. And I know you guys have a lot of questions because I saw a stack of cards. So maybe we should we can start with the questions.